Hey, I'm Jay Fayza from TheRebel.media. Right now, I'm here with Campaign Life Coalition's one and only Jack Fonesca, who's right now on the front lines dealing with bills such as Bill 89. Bill 89 recently passed the Ontario government and is now going to be in effect into Ontario's law. And I'll just have you explain what Bill 89 is. How you doing, Jack?
Hey, not too bad. Thank you, Jay. Well, Bill 89, I call it, what the government calls it is the Supporting Children, Youth, and Families Act. I call it the Destroying Children, Youth, and Families Act because that's more accurate to what it actually does. And it replaces the previous Children and Family Services Act, and it does a few different things that really represent an assault on families and assault on the rights of parents. And what it does is it has added to the list of considerations that judges and child protection agencies and even the foster care system, when looking at prospective parents to become foster parents, and the adoption system in Ontario, when looking at adoptive couples who want to adopt a child through the public adoption system, they have to look at a list of factors, which now includes gender identity and gender expression. And if you're deemed to be a Christian or a person of another faith who disagrees with the theory of gender identity or gender expression or the transgender lifestyle, and you will not affirm that, if you tell them you will not affirm that, then you are banned from fostering and adopting children. And furthermore, the state is empowered, if you have biological children who are suspected of being confused about their sexuality or about their identity, their sexual identity, the state has the power to come in and seize your biological children.
Well, here's the thing that really puzzles me is that there's no scientific evidence for any of these genders' identities' existence, and yet the state has a basis to take away your children based off something that's completely made up.
It's totally made up. This is liberal ideology. It's philosophical, anti-scientific theories. The theory of gender identity, that that a boy can be a girl trapped inside the wrong body, or a girl can be a boy trapped inside the wrong body. This is anti-science. This is anti-scientific. It denies the reality of your own body. It denies your biological reality. And people who don't like religion, they tend to say, well, I believe what I can see. I believe what the evidence shows us, and they try to use that to kind of claim or assert that religious people who believe in an unseen God, they're believing in fairy tales, and there's no good reason to do such a thing. And yet here we have liberal activists, these pointy-headed professors pushing this stuff in universities, and now academia pushing it down to grade levels, down as young as grade 3, 8 years old in elementary schools across Ontario, teaching the theory of gender identity, which is the belief that your bodily reality is not real, and that you should reject it. So this is crazy. And, going back to the issue of parental rights, with the passage of Bill 89, we've entered an era of totalitarian power by the state never witnessed before in Canada's history, where the police, or actually children's aid agencies, can actually bust down your door to seize your children and take them away from you if you are known to be a parent who will not affirm the theory of gender identity, in the event that your child should be questioning their sexuality or questioning their identity.
So, Jack, have you seen this affecting Christian couples here in Canada? Like, what's the evidence that it is affecting Christian couples, or any sort of couples, really, here in Canada?
Yeah, we've already seen this happening. Since right after Bill 89 was introduced in December as first reading, I learned within 60 days of 3 Christian couples, one Catholic, one Mennonite, and some other Christian denomination, who were told by the public adoption agency, that they were unfit to become parents because they did not believe in gender identity theory and the whole LGBTQI philosophy, and they would refuse to affirm their child in that kind of LGBTQI identity, and they were told you're not allowed to become adoptive parents. So that was under the shadow of Bill 89 before it was even passed. So that's 3 couples that I know of already, and it's going to be a lot more now that Bill 89 is law.
Here's the thing that just really baffles me is that, I mean, even if it is considered quote unquote harmful if you don't go along with these gender identities, I mean, don't parents have a right to they might assume that we're lying to our kids and telling them lies, but don't parents have a right to do that with their children? I mean, what's next? I mean, I feel like one day we're going to wake up to a world where they're saying, oh, religion, it's all made up, it's fairy tales, you shouldn't be allowed to teach your child religious. You shouldn't be allowed to teach your child about religion, or you shouldn't be allowed to teach your child about any sort of traditions or any sort of holidays that's not approved by the state. It's just, to me, it seems ridiculous. It's like the state says this is true, this is reality, even though there's no scientific backing, and they base that all just on academia's false premise, postmodernist and constructionist false premise of gender identity, and then they steal your children away.
Yeah, it's insanity, and you touched on a couple of things. One thing you said is you alluded to is that they claim the cultural Marxists pushing this stuff like Kathleen Wynne, and make no mistake, she is a Marxist. She is an atheistic Marxist who wants to see Christianity destroyed, and this is a big part of the push behind this. They claim that we need to affirm a gender that a child believes in their mind that does not match their physical reality, because doing so actually helps their psychological well-being. The exact opposite is true. That is an absolute and utter lie, which must be confronted every single time it is uttered, because it's actually child abuse. What Bill 89 is doing is institutionalizing child abuse within the child protection system, within the foster care system, and within the adoption system. Because by encouraging a child to embrace their confusion, you're harming the child. By encouraging a child, in some cases it may be mental illness. Gender dysphoria is still listed in the American Psychological Association's Diagnostic and Statistics Manual as a mental illness. So gender identity disorder, as it used to be called, or gender dysphoria, is a mental illness. So we're being told by Kathleen Wynne's liberal government that we should cooperate with mental illness, and that's child abuse. If we use another analogy to make it clear for your viewers, Jay, let's say my child comes to me and says one day, hey, I believe that my racial identity doesn't match my bodily reality. I believe I'm black, and I demand treatment. I demand that you pay for skin pigmentation surgery to make my skin look darker, to make my skin look black, that you pay for a hair transplant to give me more African type of hair, and that you restructure my nose to make it look more black. Now, I would be an abusive parent if I were to say, well, okay, sure, son, let's do that. I'll do all this stuff. I must affirm your alternate racial identity that doesn't match your bodily reality. That's child abuse. So why on earth, it would be wrong of me to play along with this fantasy that my child has. In that case of, a white child, let's say, fantasizing that they're a black person trapped in the wrong body. So why would it suddenly be okay and a good thing to play along with the fantasy that a little boy is actually a girl trapped in the wrong body? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's illogical. It's unscientific. It's against science. It's against truth.
Yeah.
It's against reality, which we can see with our very own eyes. And further to this point about child abuse, it is child abuse to affirm and to encourage a child to embrace their sexual confusion with respect to gender identity and transgenderism. Because when you look at the most authoritative study in the world, a Swedish study done, it was a cohort study done over decades of people, post-operative transsexuals who underwent sex change surgery, they had a 20 times higher rate of suicide. We're saying, put these kids, you must, as a good parent, at pain of having your child stolen from you, you must put your children on puberty hormone blockers, puberty blocking hormones, and a path to sex change surgeries if they demand that. And that is child abuse that will lead to more suicides later in life, a 20 times higher rate of suicide later in life of these very same children.
All right, so
and that's unforgivable in this liberal government. I mean,
last question. So the academics, the social scientists, created this academic theory that has no scientific backing. They hoist it on society. They hoist it on culture. Leftist politicians started pushing at it, and then they started forcing people to embrace it. I mean, my question is, what's the end goal with these people?
Well, I think the people many of the people who are themselves confused about their sexual identity, their gender identity, they're being used as pawns by cultural Marxists, by atheistic communists, people who really want a revolution. They want a sexual revolution. They are motivated by hatred of Christianity and a hatred of the idea of God. And, a lot of people don't know that atheistic communism, Soviet communism, and Karl Marx himself, they were motivated by hatred of religion. They wanted to destroy the idea of God in the heart of every man, woman, and child. So they were driven by atheistic communism, and that's still here today. People like Kathleen Wynne, I think, and others as well that are pushing this in the media. Their real goal is to destroy Christianity, to eliminate forever Judeo-Christian morality from our society. And this whole transgender push and the kids that they're abusing, they're just pawns to get to that goal.
All right. Jack Fonesca, thank you so much for joining me. I'm talking right now to Jack Fonesca, who is a director at the CLC, Campaign Life Coalition, who are on the front lines right now fighting against Ontario's bills and cultural Marxism within our government. Thank you so much, Jack, for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you anytime.
I'm Jay Fayza for TheRebel.media.